Despite what you might think, I don't just produce this podcast. I also work directly with small practice founders and sole practitioners to help them achieve their goals and overcome challenges in their own business. So I thought I'd take you behind the scenes and share a few stories with you from my work supporting small practices in this episode of Architecture Business Club, the weekly podcast for solo and small firm architecture practice owners just like you who want to build a profitable, future-proof architecture business that fits around their life. I'm John Clayton, your host. If you're a small practice leader or sole practitioner in architecture, struggling to find clarity or reach your goals, consider working with me. I offer personalised one-to-one support through coaching, consulting and mentoring. This tailored approach helps you navigate your unique path to success. Whether it's growing your practice, working fewer hours or building your team, I've got you covered. Just click the link in the show notes to book a call with me to discuss your options or email John, that's Jon, at architecturebusinessclub.com for more information. Now let me tell you more about how I support small practices. Hey everyone, thanks for joining me today. I wanted to tell you a little bit about how I'm supporting small practices beyond the podcast, and I thought the best way to explain that was to share a few real client stories with you. Before I do that though, I wanted to explain broadly what I do and who I work with. So what do I actually offer besides the podcast? Well, I do coaching, consulting and mentoring on a monthly or one-off basis. I can help provide audits, assessments and reports looking at your business. I can provide a fractional role within your business. So whether that's assisting you with the operations in your practice or with the marketing side of things. I can also provide support with actually doing the architectural drafting work through trusted outsourcing partners that I have partnership arrangements with. So that's CAD and BIM support. I also offer the opportunity for brands to work with me as well. So brand partnerships and podcast sponsorship is something that I'm happy to have a conversation around. And I also still do a very small number of architectural projects, which typically are domestic client projects. So who is it that I actually work with? It's primarily the founders of small practices, micro-sized practices, partnerships, and sole practitioners. So if you are a practice of one or lead up to a team of around 10 people, you can work with me and I can support you on a one-to-one basis. If you run a bigger practice, I may still be able to help you depending on the type of support that you need. And it doesn't matter whereabouts you're based in the world, as long as you speak English. I'm afraid that's the only language that I'm fluent in. A little bit of Spanish, but it's probably quite rusty now, I'm afraid. So it doesn't matter where you're based, as long as you speak English and you're willing and able to meet with me online during UK business hours. And I found that there's an overlap between most time zones, and I've managed to make online meeting times work with friends over in the US and folks as far afield as Australia. I don't particularly care about your professional title. So whether you are an architect, an architectural technologist, architectural designer, interior designer, as long as you are in the architecture industry and you're running a business, then feel free to get in touch. So what's the main thing that I actually help practice founders do? Well, my goal is to help you build your dream practice. So one that gives you more freedom, flexibility and fulfillment. And that could be by helping you a little or a lot, depending on your requirements and your budget. Some of the specific areas that I can help small practice leaders and sole practitioners are around strategy, systems and processes, and people. So strategy would be things like looking at strategic planning, helping you with your business plan, be looking at marketing strategy, your marketing plan, marketing tactics to meet your business goals, also helping you look at financial planning and knowing your numbers, setting up and optimizing existing systems you have in your business, and also looking at how to build the right team, whether that's through traditional recruitment or outsourcing options. Other areas that I can support you in are developing you as a thought leader, helping build your personal brand, and just standing out, being more visible. Also helping you to productize your services, and much, much more. There's so many different ways that I can help you. So you might be wondering, do I actually have the knowledge and experience to help your practice? Well, I've had over 10 years hands-on experience working in small to medium-sized practices, first as an architectural technician and then as a chartered architectural technologist. I have another 10 plus years experience as a sole practitioner running my own practice. And whilst I have no formal business or marketing qualifications, I've honed my skills through 7 years and counting of self-guided learning, in-person and online training courses, conference events, workshops and mastermind. And that's after spending the best part of a decade learning everything the hard way through my own trial and error. I've since had the privilege of hosting dozens of one-to-one calls with world-leading business and marketing experts through my podcast interviews here on the show. And I'm now here to share this acquired knowledge and expertise with small firm founders and sole practitioners so that you can build your dream architecture practice without having to make the expensive and time-consuming mistakes that I have made with my own practice. So I feel like now's a good time to share some stories. So what specific problems have clients had and how have I helped them? So these are just a few stories from people that I've guided and supported during the past few months. Remember, don't forget to download the Architecture Business Blueprint, the step-by-step formula to freedom for architects, architectural technologists and architectural designers. You can grab the blueprint without any charge at architecturebusinessclub.com/blueprint. And if you're enjoying this episode, then please leave a 5-star review or rating wherever you listen to podcasts. Now back to the show. Joe had recently started up his new architecture practice that specialises in retrofit and low energy design, but he was struggling to manage his time and wanted help to write his business plan and set financial goals. So firstly, I introduced him to some productivity and time management tactics to trial out so that he could free up his time and attention to work on his business. We then reviewed his financial forecasts and I gave him feedback on those so that he could set some exciting yet realistic targets. And we also worked on his business plan so that now he has an easy to follow plan that's fully aligned with his professional and personal goals. Rachel wanted to grow her business and start specialising in retrofit and sustainable design projects too, but she wasn't sure how to go about it. So during a session with me, she learned how to integrate retrofit services into a current architecture business and how to use content marketing to educate and attract those clients. She also learned about productizing services and the use of price bracketing to increase the perceived value of a main service package so that she could get easier sales. And she also got tailored advice on building her personal brand. Ash was heavily reliant on word of mouth for new customers and had tried digital marketing without much success. So during a session with me, I identified new tactics that he could use to improve his current marketing strategy, including building and managing more relationships in his CRM system and making some tweaks to both his website copy and his social media posts to show a bit more personality. We also explored packaging his services to make them easier to promote to his ideal clients. Gary had pivoted from a trade background into architectural services and wanted to move more into project management in the future, whilst maintaining and improving his architectural services for domestic and residential design projects. So during our sessions together, he's developed a new business plan that's fully aligned with his long-term goals, and he's also learned how to build and manage a remote team to help deliver his architectural services through my outsourcing partners, freeing up his time for project management and to work on his business. Mo wanted to streamline his small practice, particularly to save time on admin and managing his team. So during our session together, I was able to recommend time-saving software tools to reduce his admin load and help him manage his team communications more efficiently. I also shared a time-saving workflow to produce his as-existing building plans more efficiently. Kathy had aspirations to start her own architectural visualization company, and her main challenge was finding the time to plan and finance the business launch. So during a session with me, we identified that by leveraging her time through systems, processes, and outsourcing, she could actually launch and grow her dream business without having to leave the security of her current job, so she could minimize her risk. And finally, Sam wanted feedback on his new software platform for architecture practices. During our session together, I was able to test the platform's functionality and provide fast feedback on its usability and price point. He also learned about how building brand partnerships with manufacturers could differentiate his new offering from the longer established competitors. He also got a strategy that he could use to launch his product to the market. Sounds awesome, right? Some amazing wins there from working with those practice leaders. So sign me up for a long-term retainer. Let's work together. Well, if you're thinking that, I just want to say, just like slow down a moment. I mean, like, would you ask somebody to marry you on the first date? I mean, probably not. You'd start by getting to know one another, maybe meeting for a coffee first and going on some more dates. And it's really the same process working with me or any other coach or consultant. We want to get to know each other first. And that's how we can ensure that we're a good fit to work together. So before deciding to work together, we would normally have 1 or 2 initial meetings, usually held on Zoom. And I'll ask questions about you and your business, and we'll mainly be listening to what you've got to say. If you like me and we both agree that I'm a good fit to help you, then I can put together a proposal for you to consider. And if I don't think we're going to be a good fit, I'll be honest and tell you that. And if that's the case, I will try and recommend an alternative solution for you so you still have a way to move past whatever it is that you're stuck with. But how do you know the timing's right to work with somebody like me? Well, you know what? There may never be a perfect time to start working on your business with a coach or consultant like me, but sometimes may be better than others, and I want you to get results from working with me. So if I feel the timing isn't right to work with me right now, then I will let you know and we can always reconnect later. You might be wondering how much I charge for this type of support. The short answer is not as much as you may think. The long answer is that really we would need to delve into your business and your needs in a little bit more detail in order for me to provide a proposal that's the right fit to meet your needs. So how do you get started? So if you've listened this far, congratulations, well done. But seriously, if you run a practice and are curious about working with me in any way, let's chat, let's have a conversation. You never know, it might even lead to you being a guest on this very show. I've put a link in the show notes to book a quick, no obligation call with me. I don't bite. If you're unsure if this is for you, but you feel curious, just book the call anyway, because that is what the call is for. I look forward to chatting with you very soon. Next time, I'm joined by Jackie Goddard to talk about the benefits of public speaking. Thanks so much for listening to this episode of Architecture Business Club. If you liked this episode, think other people might enjoy it, or just want to show your support for the show, then please leave a glowing 5-star review or rating wherever you listen to podcasts. It would mean so much to me and makes it easier for new listeners to discover the show. And if you haven't already done so, don't forget to hit the subscribe button so you never miss another episode. If you want to connect with me, you can do that on most social media platforms. Just search for @Mr. John Clayton. The best place to connect with me online, though, is on LinkedIn. You can find a link to my profile in the show notes. Remember, running your architecture business doesn't have to be hard, and you don't need to do it alone. This is Architecture Business Club.